hereditary influence of cancer and modifiable nature of the environmental factors point to be the preventability of cancer. So here also you can see that how diet and the other environmental factors, they play such a major role. So the majority of changes in the genome involve loss of methylation, which were previously methylated. The presence of these methyl groups usually creates a DNA conformation which blocks access to certain genes and renders them silent. Since thousands of genes are normally epigenetically silenced in every differentiated cell type, the unintended activation of these genes due to demethylation often increases unwanted gene expression. So, a number of studies suggest that DNA methylation and other persisting epigenetic changes to both DNA and chromatin induced differentiate direct cell back into a stem cell like state, predisposing to cancer, and partly explaining a high risk of carcinogenesis in older people or those chronically exposed to toxic agents. So, dietary constituents, by affecting the DNA methylation status, no doubt positively or both negatively affect disease risk and progression, and probably also the aging process. So, Ayurveda gives us the straightforward and very straightforward approach to healthy eating to prioritize freshness, moderation, variation, and including 6 days. So, cooking methods will pre-adjust most food. About 20% of food should be raw. Lovingly prepared food, slowly eaten foods, enjoyed in a relaxed setting will no doubt lead to better epigenetic health. So now this was related to the cancer and epigenetic preventive aspect. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, I think there was a problem with your internet signal, and we had lost you for a minute.
I think so.
If you can
Yeah,
please,
yeah. So I'm going to start. I'm going to
please, ma'am.
start. Sorry for that. So,
Much,
so
ma'am.
what is the relation between cancer and the epigenetics as a curative aspect? So we know that the chronic inflammation in cancer is a causative factor in variety of cancers. In general, the longer the inflammation persists, the higher is the risk of cancer. So inflammatory mediators basically include like many mediators: tumor necrosis factor, nitric oxide, derivatives of prostaglandins, leukotrienes, cytokinins, and free radicals. So chronic exposure to these mediators leads to the increased cell proliferation, mutagenesis, epigenetic modifications, and oncogene activation and angiogenesis. The ultimate result is basically the proliferation of cells that have escaped normal growth control. So those mechanisms involve activation of inflammatory signal pathways such as NF-kB signal pathway, signal transducer, and hypoxia inducible factor, many factors. So interestingly, the potent anti-tumor effects of phytochemicals such as curcumin from turmeric attributed to its anti-cancerous or anti-inflammatory activities. It inhibit the inflammation at least in part by suppressing the transcription activity of an NF-kB. So medicinal herbs have components that can regulate multiple cancer and inflammatory pathways via epigenetics. So one model that links the inflammation to the oncogenic transformation based on the positive feedback loop mechanism involving NF-kB, RNA binding protein, and IL-6 cytokine. So it is likely that epigenetic factors play a major role in any such mechanism. Bioactive compounds in food may prevent or treat metabolic diseases via epigenetics. So, in some in silico studies are already going on, and we are trying to start a project with All India Institute of Medical Sciences with the intervention of Ayurvedic herb, Ayurvedic formulation for cancer to see the epigenetic regulations in cancer cells. So what is the conclusion and future perspective? That the phenotype of an individual, actually, it is the result of complex gene environment interaction in the current, past, and the ancestral environment. So it is very interesting, word, that is the ancestral environment. So like for that, we have started in our institute, like with my postgraduate students, one study is already done with one of my postgraduate student, with in collaboration with, again, with All India Institute of Medical Science, with the Department of Genetics. And we have initiated that. It is such a wide topic, that epigenetics is such a wide topic. It's a new innovative science, and we are trying to create some evidence from the Ayurveda perspective in purview of this science, with the help of some small studies. Like we initiated with the study of meta-analysis. We did the meta-analysis of meta-analysis. There is a concept of 6 procreative factors in our classical text. 6 procreative factors are responsible for the, for the formation of the fetus. So now what is the, as per the science of epigenetics, there is again another concept in this science only, that the concept of fetal origin of adult diseases, that the intrauterine environment can change the phenotypic expression, and the changes which occur during the intrauterine life, it may manifest in the childhood. So that is the fetal origin of adult diseases. Till date, means like before the science of epigenetics, there was a concept that there is only one thing responsible, that is the mutation, and the hereditary changes are congenital changes are responsible for the manifestation of diseases in childhood. But no, it's not like that. After the science of epigenetics, there is one term which has been added, that is the epigenetics and the phenotypic changes during the intrauterine life. The only thing is not the responsible, that is the genetic changes. The epigenetic changes, means the phenotypic changes which occurred during the intrauterine life, they may manifest as the in the childhood life, like the leukemia. Now another project which we have started, that is the leukemia, the observational study to see the causation of the matraj and drasaj, means the maternal and the nutritional factors for the causation of the childhood leukemia. And that is in purview of, again, in the science of epigenetics. So we have initiated, because doing the epigenetic study, it's not a easy task, right? So to just support, it's a building block. These studies are the building blocks for that in future, so that we can plan a big project. Because to support the big project, we need to support that project with the references. So that is why we have started some projects. So one study is over, second study is going on, and third study is in pipeline. So the fourth one, which we are planning as a big epigenetic study with the Department of Epigenetics, here again in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. We are in discussion. I am in with discussion with Dr. Ashok Sharma. He's leading that Department of Epigenetics in All India Institute of Medical Sciences. He is very much interested. So this is really very good that all the scientists all across the world, my dear colleagues, they are very much interested. They are open for integrated approach. They are open for researches. So it's not like that. So be positive and go ahead and explain all the fundamentals of Ayurveda. Although clinical studies are required, but we need to create this interest of explanation of all the fundamentals of Ayurveda in contemporary language. Then like sky is the limit. So that is what I was saying, that now it is likely that understanding and manipulating the epigenome, a potentially reversible source of biological variation, has great potential in chemo prevention and stabilization of cancer. And much attention nowadays is currently focusing on modulating hyper and hypomethylation of key inflammatory genes by dietary factors as an effective approach to cure or to protect against cancer inflammation. So genes, basically, they are not absolutely our fate. They can give us no doubt useful information about the increased risk of disease, but in most cases they will not determine the actual cause of disease, the actual incidence of somebody. So epigenetic has been around 20 years back science, and Ayurveda has been around 5,000 years back science. Now both, they have come to similar conclusions. So epigenetic research confirms that traditional ancient knowledge, that diet, lifestyle, and mindfulness can also be used to fight disease and promote health. So our choices affect our outcomes. So the future of epigenetics is individualized therapies. Western medical approach develop new drugs which target specific epigenetic components, recognizes that light, lifestyle, and the environment can have epigenetic effects. So every individual is different from another and hence should be considered as a different entity. That we all know that Ayurveda is emerging nowadays as a personalized and preventive and predictive and as a precision medicine. So for that purpose only, in our institute we have started the data collection center for cancer research projects. This is to give boost to some studies in coming days in purview of epigenetics and informatics. So this is the center where we are working, and this is one platform which I have developed, that is the name by the name Arbud. Arbud, you all know that it is the Ayurvedic terminology for classical terminology for cancer. So I have given this this is the Ayurveda research based union for development in oncology. In my entire life, if I can contribute some Ayurvedic studies and integrated approach under this platform, so I would like to contribute to Ayurveda with this name. So certain these are the publications: Cancer and Epigenetics, Interrelationship in Prevention and Cure, which were published. This is the book which was recently published, Epigenetics and Ayurveda. Another, that is the this article, this is very interesting article which I was just mentioning, that is the impact of 6 procreative factors on Srotodushti of Garb in manifestation of fetal origin of adult diseases, again in purview of epigenetics. That is the changing of the phenotypes in the intrauterine life, which can manifest in even the childhood life. Another article, the impact of Matraj Bhav, maternal factors in prevalence of the Arbud in purview of epigenetics. So this is another, area where I'm working, that is the Informatics and Epigenetics, a breakthrough in oncology treatment. In COVID-19, I have published one article, which is with the UGC Careless Journal, and that is the integration of Informatics and Epigenetics and Ayurveda, a possible contribution towards COVID-19. And Informatics, we know that, as I'm again and again stressing, that we need to explain the terms and the fundamentals in the contemporary language. So with the advent of new technology, the molecular biology of cancer is becoming clear, right? So whatever the components we are using, we can do the in silico studies. After in silico studies, definitely we can, using phytochemicals and other tools for Ayurvedic medicine, may one day bridge the gap between molecular alterations under epigenetic control and comprehensive treatment of discomfort, imbalance, and neoplasia. So this is all about this lecture. I have just kept intentionally it very short. So the ultimate gist is that we need to create the integrated approach to, I'm just trying my hard to create some evidences, through postgraduate studies or small pilot projects, so that we can support the big project in coming days with the developed evidences. And I would like to invite all the listeners here. I can see Dr. Pranita Joshi ji. So she is into this field. I know that how beautifully, how such a great work the people are doing. So I would like to invite you, ma'am, come with some ideas, collaborate, and let's move in this direction, and so that we can serve to Ayurveda.
Yeah,
So thank you very much. Yeah, thank you very much, Dr. Abhishek Lulaji, for giving this wonderful opportunity, and Dr. Pratibha Shahji, always being so, grateful to me. Thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much, Pooja madam. And as always, it's very wonderful to listen to you, and you have put it across the right point that it is high time to integrate Ayurvedic basic principles and modern terminology. It was very insightful and inspirational talk for today, and you did a wonderful job as an opening batsman for our 5-day long lecture series. And I really appreciate your efforts in this topic, and I'm aware that you are working in this area from quite a long time, I guess. And Arbud is, I think, a very initiative In the beginning of this presentation, you introduced that Arbut concept also, how epigenetics is related to the cancer and how we can thought in a different light. I really appreciate your word for that, and thank you so much for giving us a wonderful talk today. Can we take some questions if there are any? Dr. Abhishek, if there are any questions, we can really go ahead. I think there are. Okay, so I think one question from my side, ma'am, if it is comfortable for you. Yeah, just one, you mentioned about Prakriti and Vikruti concept, which is like integral foundational concept of Ayurveda. Can you highlight a bit about that?
In terms of epigenetics, yes. So basically, Prakriti is we can say that Prakriti is the state which is not going to change. It is our genetic code, right? It is our genotype, and the Vikriti is our current state, which is the phenotype. So Vikriti is always vulnerable. We are vulnerable to for the going into the state of Vikriti. So like in a nutshell, the Prakriti is our genotype, Vikriti is a phenotype. In your genetics, you are saying Prakriti and Vikriti. Vikriti is a hands, right? So we can change the phenotype, that phenotype with the intervention of diet and lifestyle. So that is always, possible to change the phenotypic expression. Although it is not possible to change the genetic code, but definitely we can change the phenotypic expression. So reversible positively and negatively both.
Right. Yeah. Very aptly put it across, ma'am. And there is one more question from Dr. Hina Bhatt. What's your vision for the global integrative approach?
See, my vision is, which I have explained, that I'm trying, first of all, I'm understanding myself. I'm trying to understand all the concepts of Ayurveda, whatever it is coming to me, like as my journey is moving, and I'm moving in academic research. Gradually, I'm learning that where it is, like a concept of six, because frankly speaking, honestly speaking, when there was no post graduation in my institute, I was just studying. Six procreative factors are there, Bhav are there, right? Arbut is there. But I never thought about that six procreative factors we can explain in purview of the science of epigenetics. So that was really interesting. That was really very much interesting. Nowadays, when I was learning about COVID-19, then I first I gave that presentation of informatics in the so this time I thought that why not? Then I saw that so many articles they are coming out for the in silico molecular docking of like curcumin in case of COVID-19. So there is an opportunity for integrative approach. For example, in this with the help of the science of epigenetics, with the science of bioinformatics, with the science of, when we are talking about Prakriti, we speak about in purview of the concept of predictive, preventive, and personalized medicinal concept. P3 medicinal concept is so much popular in Europe. When I was in Germany in 2010, I was associated with EPMA. European, I think the full form is, I'm not getting that. So they were working on P3 medicine, and P3 medicine is nothing, means like it's only Prakriti based concept. So we need to integrate whatever the concept of Prakriti is there, concept of this six procreative factors is there, or any dietary or intervention, whatever it is, we need to speak in contemporary language, and that is what the integrated approach. So that is how we can globally create evidences, and we can globally create collaborations.
Wonderful. Dr. Pratibha ma'am is there, and she's really making a point that she's present throughout this lecture series, even in spite of time differences. I really appreciate her pursuance and sincerity for this cause, and we are really blessed to have her guidance all the time. Over to you, madam, for your inputs on this.
Thank you
Dr.
so much. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Pooja. This is a very timely, relevant conversation. I myself am not going to say anything right now. I'm going to request Dr. Lakhotia, who is a renowned biologist and a renowned geneticist, and he is attending this lecture. So I'm going to request Dr. Lakhotia, if you're able to hear me, if you can please come on camera and unmute yourself and please share your views. Everybody must look him up. He has an amazing body of work, and especially in relevance to today's topic, I think his commentary will be very useful. I think he has unmuted, but I don't see his camera on yet.
I'm not able to start my video unless the host starts my video.
Host, Pranita, would you like to try?
You can
Just go to the dots and click and see if you can, the blue dots.
I have
Okay.
sent
Oh, there, we can see you. We can see you.
Yeah. Thanks for calling me up. It's a very interesting exercise that you are doing. But I will express some of my views tomorrow when I talk about what we need to do. My concern is, yes, epigenetics is a very important issue which we must look at, and Ayurveda does provide certain background information. But my point of caution is that yes, the Ayurveda talks about the Prakriti and what environment can influence and how does our body respond to it. But we must understand that epigenetics itself is changing so rapidly. Our understanding of epigenetics is not changing. Our understanding of epigenetics is changing so rapidly, and there are multitudes of ways and means that can happen. And from the health point of view, unless we as the speaker said, we must collaborate, we must integrate the various disciplines, and then only it can have a purpose. The major concern that I have about, I must confess, which I will do again tomorrow, that I'm not an Ayurved person. I'm a kind of intruder, if I can say so. Is a basic scientist, I started talking about it. But then coming with that background, I think we need to really look at the Ayurvedic principles afresh, not just remain bogged down to what was stated in the great ancient treaties. They were great for that time and they continue to be great, but we need to reinterpret. And this is something that I would like to emphasize again tomorrow when I talk about that what Ayurvedic biology really means and how we should go about it. But these approaches and the exercise that you have started doing it, that, okay, we need to discuss, we need to look at it, I'm sure it will have some positive consequences. Thanks for doing this. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Lakhotia. And finally, good to see you. And we are looking forward to your lecture tomorrow and insightful comments tomorrow as well. I think there is one question in the chat, and then we can probably wind up for today.
Yeah, ma'am. Can I read that for you, Dr. Pooja?
Yeah. So
it is about Langana, and the question is that have you had any experiences with Langana in oncology? And because Dr. Hina Bhatt is asking this question, she is also mentioning that intermittent fasting is showing very encouraging results in recent studies. Hence the question.
Yeah, definitely. She's herself is giving the answer that it's giving promising results. No doubt. In whenever we are prescribing, advising the patient to use Langhana as a treatment, so we are getting very good results because in cancer, it's giving some promising results. Of course, definitely.
And like Agni Bandha is the basic cause of all the imbalances. Langhana is going to have Ampachana and Agni Dipana effect.
Definitely. Intermittent fasting is definitely giving a good results in such kind of patients.
Yeah. It was very wonderful to listen to you, ma'am. And I think we have met from World Ayurveda Congress to ministry to this now. It's interesting journey with you. And today's topic is like a inspirational trigger, you can say, where all the physicians who are working in the integrated approach or integrated scenario, they'll start looking at it in terms of various research ideas as well as in the clinical scenario. Council for Ayurveda Research is committed for authentic research and with the clinical insights, like we have to give back to the society with something in hand. And tomorrow's topic is also very interesting, where Lakhotia sir will be talking about Ayurvedic biology research, essentials for integrating that Ayurvedic concept in terms of healthcare requirements. So your topic will be handed over to him in terms of Ayurvedic biology. And it's like a wonderful session coming up, and you really built up the foundation nicely. Thank you so much, Dr. Pooja.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr.
I think the audio is
Pranita of you. Thank you.
And thank you, Pratibha ma'am, for being there as always, like a backbone for our activities. And Dr. Abhishek for introducing and moderating the whole session, and Dr. Lakhotia sir for your presence. Your presence is also very encouraging and motivating for us. So I really appreciate everybody for today's lecture. We'll meet you soon.
Thank you, everyone.
Tomorrow, same time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. See you all tomorrow. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dr. Pooja.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you.